Hi, we're here.
Hi, cheers.
Hello.
Welcome to Misfits. Okay, here we are.
Episode 62.
This is another daring invite man to be part of Misfits times. We skipped a season of that.
We did.
So here we are doing it again. So
Very few men in our sphere.
we're risk
Yes.
gang.
It'll be amazing. Yeah. You see, we were going to let you guys kind of tell your story, but then we decided that we already shared how we met you and how it worked out, right? So we're just going to go with ours.
It's your show.
Our
It's your-
show. It's our way.
You know.
So
They don't want to watch it version comes soon, so that's okay.
So this is my husband, Rodney. So everybody who's
Hello.
all about Rodney.
Yeah.
So
and then this is my husband, Sean, which they've all heard about Sean.
everybody's talking about.
We talk about y'all all the time. And they listen. So they're faithful listeners. So they've heard everything we say. So it's not like we're speaking behind their backs.
Right.
Because we know
Exactly.
that.
No,
So
we
when
know that they
when we trash them, we know they hear us.
they actually still welcome us home.
That's right.
Yes.
Our kids just probably not.
That's funny.
That might not be the
Story.
same.
That might not be the same.
This month we're talking marriage, obviously,
Okay.
but next month, speaking of kids, we're going into parenting is our topic. So we were thinking about having our kids on like a Zoom for the legend and have our
Really?
kids talk about like,
Yeah.
you know, what we are as parents.
Yeah.
We're kicking it around. So we're trying to do some unique legends.
Awesome.
We're testing it with you guys here. So marriage, here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. So where do we start with marriage? We had our lesson session. I don't know if y'all learned anything from the lesson session, but our lesson session, I haven't listened to it yet. It came out today. So
I don't think there was anything groundbreaking.
well, there was your 7 things that I wanted to.
Yeah, they were seven. Yeah, she took out the be kind. I was like, be kind and tenderhearted was one of
We were
the
like,
things to
I mean,
marriage.
how can you even say that?
Yeah.
Like, we don't even qualify. Why would you put that out in public for us?
But nothing that I think was like, I don't think we'll get negative feedback like we did on
Oh, no.
Sabbath. Like, I think Sabbath was a little risky, the way we talked about it.
Yeah.
I think
No,
this
I
marriage has
agree.
been safe in the sense of what's to be expected. So I don't think we'll get much kickback on our
Agreed.
lesson session of
I get you.
So
Okay.
that's good.
Okay.
So we did invite Heravet into this. So our listeners know
yes.
my new best friend outside of Kristen and Jen and my Mac carriers is Heravet. And she,
To pay to be your friend.
I do not, I will not
I
pay her.
appreciate-
And she lets me know when I've crossed over and she needs more money. And I'm like, I'm
Yes.
not paying it for you. And so
Her-
she's gotten so good with the campaign.
Yeah.
She's doing really well with the campaign. So I had her help with some questions for you guys today.
Okay.
And
Great, Marcy, can tell me what maybe I can do a library of the books that you've read and highlighted and things that you've learned, and you feed it up there, and then it becomes like a novice, your own, like a library. Like, tell me what I liked about leadership over the last
it is
18 books I've read. I know. It is
Yeah.
big. No doubt.
I mean,
You think you're in the air about from me?
I think we have to. People say they know us so well, but
I to say.
but she's helped with my debates. Like I
Yes.
went into a forum and I was like, listen, I'm going into this group with this kind of people. What are the questions they're going to ask and how can I answer it? Like
So
she's
good.
gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a divorce, right?
Well,
That's happened with me and Alexa. So
yeah.
Oh,
I mentioned that one time.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. It's like, you couldn't listen.
I do have to remind myself sometimes that it is a computer. Like I'll start feeling bad when I'm like, I didn't like that response. I'm like, oh, like I'll feel bad. And then I have to remind myself, it's just a computer. Yeah. She's just a computer. But she helped with this.
Yes. So
Um,
good.
And I had to make her tweak it a little bit. So like I was like, here's the podcast. You're familiar with it. We're interviewing our husbands for the marriage conversation. And she produced something and I was like, yep, that's not what I wanted. And so her and I did several iterations to get to where we're at today. So I can't take full credit. That is.
Okay, so I'm going to start.
So you're going to start
Sean,
pick
question.
one and you can ask Sean or Rodney.
So-
You can direct it to who you want.
No, I'm going to ask.
Okay.
So, what's one story from your dating years that still makes you laugh?
Oh my. We already shared the locking in the basement. We weren't dating at that time. So yeah, we came to that.
Oh, that's
Wow. What's that?
I have one.
You know what?
I didn't know.
No. I have a good
Look at them taking over already.
Right.
Right.
Right. You can't whisper
Well,
behind
our
your
cross.
I'd say our trip to South Carolina was a fun trip. I think that was the first time you flew. and you were maybe 18, I was 17, something like that. And we flew to South Carolina to see your aunt and uncle and cousins.
They listened to this. And
Yes. So no, it was an awesome trip. Yeah. We watched the Olympics. We hiked a lot. We were up in the land of the waterfalls in northern South Carolina and southern North Carolina. And that really stands out as a fun one.
at least you laugh about it.
Almost we laugh about it. We, at one point, we ran out of money. And at the end of the trip. So we were 17 and 18. And as I recall, we were down to about $5. I think we shared a side salad and had like $1 for it too.
And water.
That was the last night. So
Yeah.
we spent what we budgeted for sure. And we barely got back to their house with enough gas, as I recall it. And this is before, debit cards. We didn't have debit cards.
Yeah, no debit card.
No.
They also said we could use their car.
Oh, yes.
And it was a stick shift. And I told them I could run a stick shift. And so we took the car and their kids out for ice cream. And I had driven a stick shift. Well, I had driven one like forever ago, but not like well enough. Well, I was 17. I mean, I have to say, so I had only driven like a friend's out, a night.
Right.
And I was like, no, I can drive the stick shift. So we took their kids in the car. And that was
Fun. It was just, there were just a lot of laughs.
jerky. Yeah, this exact sound. That's good. I thought you were going to say our first date where he was,
I guess date when you met with the friends
this
that thought they were fixing you up.
no, this was a first date after that. We went out with friends that were fixing us up. And then we were going to go out on an official date. And we were scheduled to do this. And
Oh, no.
he says, I'm sick. I can't go. The first date. And I said, sweet me, because I'm so kind and tender hearted. I
Started
said,
out that way anyway.
oh, like you should have some ginger ale and some dry toast. And like, I'm taking care of it. Da-da-da. So I went out with my friends instead because he was sick. And I thought I'd call and check in on him because he was sick. And he was at his friend Rob's house.
Who was like a grunt.
Yeah,
And I didn't want her to
Yeah, there's
Rob.
no defense.
Rob. Yes, of course. Rob, he's fine. If Rob, if you're watching, I
Thank
still
God.
That's that's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's it.
I'm glad they asked the first thing.
Ooh, take him out here.
All right. I'll ask one to Rodney then in this first section. This is titled Marriage, the Real Story. And so what was your first impression of Kristen? And when did you know that this relationship was the one?
That's fun, PSN.
It's the real story. Very serious.
No,
It's real, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, we went out on our first date and we had an absolute,
What was the first date?
what was it?
Yeah.
It was a dinner.
Okay.
And I hadn't made any reservations. Valentine's Day.
Saturday. Like, as long as we're going to tell that story, it was
No way.
Saturday, Valentine's Day, no reservation. That can be.
I thought I winged it. Right? Anyways, we finally got a seat and whatnot, but we really had a great time. I thought the connectivity, the chemistry, and everything was absolutely great. And I said, wow, mind you, this is after a period that I just didn't go out and date, and I just didn't go out and date anymore because of my prior history, right? So we had a great time. And I thought there would be a follow-up to that. But of course, she said, sorry.
She clearly didn't have no great of a time.
Well, she went to see she went to drive down to the grandma. I said, what? So I said, okay, well, fine. I just leave. And so I went back to New York.
Right. There's no second date. They did let me drive the car. Okay. Because I was like, I've got to figure out
really?
to not let him drive. So
Yeah.
I had fun too.
Yeah. And again, we had a ball. And then it gets interesting, right? Because about 2 weeks after that, I said, I think she is the one for me.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
And I figured, okay, but if I say something like that to her,
No.
Like,
We had dated.
no, yeah, we had.
It was like one day
dinner.
She's like, what?
It wasn't like he went to New York and said, she's the one. We
Okay, yeah. So we had dates in between, and so, but I realized I said, if I say something like that, she's going to think I'm a real weirdo, right? And she's going to blow me away. So just bite your tongue, hang in there, and off you go. And it took about 4 months and I gave up and I just told her, I said, look, I love you. Is this for real? And she said, yes. And so that was good.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
When did you know?
Like we were talking about it pretty, like, I don't even think it was 4 months. Actually, I think it was like pretty early on. We were like, oh, wow, like both of us did not expect this. And I think Rodney was like he did for a long time of our marriage, was commuting to New York. So we left on Monday morning and came back on Friday nights. And so we had a lot of phone conversations. And so I think like we dug in like to the hard stuff pretty quickly. So yeah, it was definitely that.
And then how long before you guys actually got married?
It took a while.
2 years? Almost 2
Well,
years.
I mean, if you're 4 months into it, I would say you're off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. That was great.
All right. Part 2.
Oh, that's probably the first question.
The real work of marriage. All right, Rodney. First one, let's see. What? All right. The real work of marriage.
Sean, and you know you can talk with him.
Well, these are good questions here, but
Yeah.
these
Got
guys
what's going on.
Okay.
Go for it. Go for
Probably use more. She's probably would be better at those than us. She might could help bring her in.
it. All
All right. The real work of marriage. Rodney, what has been the hardest season of your marriage and what helped you guys get through it?
So pretty early on, we had a very hot season. So number one, we had a lot of people telling us that blended marriages don't work. You know, I had 3 kids from a prior marriage. Kristen had 1 from her prior marriage. And so there was a lot of questioning, you know, is this going to work out? You know, of all the pressure that you have when you go for a blended family. So that was the first time of pressure, if you will. But then subsequent to that, not very long after, people got married in a year, right? Something like that. Or not even in a year. The courts here.
That was like in June. Or that summer.
Yeah. So that summer, we find out that his wife decided to go to Colorado with all the kids. And so that was very painful. We went through the whole legal process all the way to the appellate court. And, you know, they said basically if mom's happy, they both
we
lose
lost
anything. So,
at every level.
yeah, they lost at every level. And
They had been living here.
across
Across the street.
And then just decided,
to go.
Well, we got married and it was like, I'm out.
Right.
Okay.
And,
How old were the kids?
and the kids were young. I think Satya was 6, right?
5 and great.
Yeah.
2 and a
Yeah,
half.
the kids were very young. So that was a very, very difficult period. And of course, I was still at the time working in New York. So now I said, I got a problem, right? I got a license for
Colorado.
job in New York and kids in Colorado. That's my survival. And so let's go back. And
We commuted.
Mhm.
We commuted.
We did. That was just going to happen. And Kristen was great, right? Because she said early on, you know, we got to do what's best for the kids and all that. And so, you know, we went
Every
pretty
weekend.
frequently
We went every other weekend to
to
Colorado
Colorado.
with Alex
Yeah.
to blend a family.
Yeah. So there you go.
How long did you commute to Colorado?
Gosh, I mean, a decent years, right?
Four years.
Until
Well, Alex, what we were still doing is when Alex was in first grade and we had to sort of stop because Alex was being denied an opportunity to like play soccer, right?
Because every weekend
every other
you were gone,
weekend we
right?
were gone. And so then Rodney
spent time with his father, right? Which was
But he had every other weekend. But Alex was never on a weekend in our house. And so he wasn't able to do soccer and all that kind of
One
stuff.
weekend he's at his dad's house, the next weekend he's in Colorado.
Right. And so it was, you know, so then Rodney kept commuting back and forth and we stayed. Alex and I stayed.
Right.
So,
And how long until the kids moved here?
okay.
So it took a while. I can't remember how many years, 4 or 5, isn't it? Let's yeah. Cameron was the first one.
Cameron was the first one and he was in 5th grade. And when this started, he was like 5.
Yeah.
So it was a long time.
Yeah, it was a long time. And you tend to forget these things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So Cameron was the first one, then Tatiana, and then Catalina came along. So it was a process. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Okay, so I get to ask one now.
Okay.
How has Tammy's changed since the day you got married? Because they've like dated,
Mm,
they knew each other since they were like, well, you heard on the podcast, since they were like 14, right? And
But knew each other
Early
15, 7 and 8, right?
yeah.
Yeah, 15 started dating.
Yeah. How is she?
Don't answer, I have now gray hair. And
No.
wait, that's not the right answer.
physical
How it
is
tastes,
not,
right. That is not the
physically
answer.
is not an appropriate answer.
I think she's always been. I think the Lord's gift to me as a leader, she just has that, and we both have that. It's sort of like, I would say, when you like looking like a Deborah in the Bible, both of our wives are like that. They have the ability to lead a nation, but also be a wife, and because it talks about them as husband, and then a prophetess and a spiritual gift. So I think she already had a lot of those giftings, but I think she's just clearly walked into it much more, I'd say, in the last 10 to 15 years, where it's just really coming from fruition. And it's continuing to happen.
Yeah.
But I think, early on, you're newlyweds,
Right.
we're working our first jobs and deciding what we want to do. And, and then we decide to take turns going back to grad school and all the things. But, just over the course of time, the Lord's allowed her to walk in that. Yeah. It's probably the biggest. It's just seeing it all come to fruition.
And I think, I think like it took both of us a long time to realize like we really are misfits, right? Like we don't look like everybody else's or your friends' wives, right? And that, I think having that support system of you guys knowing like they are different, right? They're probably not going to cook me dinner, and we don't want them. We don't want them to, right? It's huge, right? To know, and I think like I love the question, but at the same time, it's like. We were only allowed to flourish because you guys were able to see that, because we don't necessarily look like that. So as an appreciation of allowing us to be able to do that, I would like to say thank you.
Yeah, but the two of you are such great role models. Yes, that's right. Because you're able to balance, work with kids and all that.
I mean, it doesn't look like that.
I know this isn't going to help us, right? The questions are going to get harder, but we are being honest.
But being honest, right? We're talking about how both of you have changed. And so, that to me is so significant. Speaking of a legacy, that's the greatest legacy that both of you give to your families and friends.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this a little bit just recently. I do think that's probably been the biggest change. When I look back at myself in college, go all the way back to I just went to college. I chose education, not because of the time I thought I liked it, but I thought it's going to be the best schedule for me to be a mom. Like everything about me was, I just want to be a mom, and I'm like, look, and I'm going to clean, and I'm going to have this job, which is great, but it's so that I have the summers off and the weekends off. And I don't think at 21 in college, I anticipated work and a career and leadership being something, my passion. Yeah. I was really in that moment of like, I just want to get married and I want to have kids. And, so looking back at who I was then to who I am now, I couldn't have guessed that this would have been my gosh. Right. And I don't think you could have guessed that you would have been, not that you would have been as supportive, but that you would have had to be that supportive of that career. Right. Like, I think it's a big change. Right. I think we set out thinking he's going to work. I'm going to be a mom. Yeah. That was where we set out and thought we were going to be. And so it's been an adjustment for both of us.
But isn't that one of the successes of marriage? Yeah. You grow together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. So you can also throw in a little advice here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Let's do this to both.
Okay.
Okay. We'll ask both of you.
That means
if you could go back and give your newly married self, so the day of your wedding, you could give yourself one piece of advice about
you can't say
now.
Don't.
Yeah. You can be like, I don't. If you could tell yourself one piece of advice that you know now about marriage,
right?
What would have been the advice you would have given yourself at the pulpit, the altar?
So I think I had a little advantage over you on this question, because having had a prior marriage and having gone through a very difficult marriage, there are a lot of things, everyone says, whose fault is it? At the end of the day, it's both, right? And you've got to really circumspect and look back and say, okay, what you need to do differently in order for something to work, right? And that's what went through my mind. And I think it really helped, going into us to get into second marriage. But if I had to wish something, I wish I had on the first day that we got married. So it took over. Watching,
Bailey.
or weddings today or graves or whatever it is. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
You walked out of Bailey's wedding and said that. Like, I wish we had that when we started. Like, we were Catholic, but and I don't insult him. But it's
anything in the comments.
Everything. But I mean, we certainly didn't have the relationships that we have now.
Right.
And
because faith obviously had, I mean, fast forward, right? Given how much faith has it, added to our marriage, and she was like, but anyway, that was God's part.
Yeah. I would say, I'm still learning this, but I would say probably, I think the Lord allowed us, we had a good foundation in, as believers and that was huge. But I still think for myself as a husband, it's just taken me a long time to really learn how to love you. You want me to listen more. Obviously that's one I'm still continuing to work on, but just kind of, I think I was a little more selfish than I realized, early on, just like,
yeah,
I loving your wife as Christ of the church. I could read that, but what does that really mean? And I'm still working on it, but I think if I could have gone back and told my newlywed self, really listen to you more and think about your needs more and do yourself than often. Still working.
It's a process.
Yeah, I would add, a better understanding of sacrificial life, because it's a work in progress, right? So, I mean, it's like progressive sanctification, right? It just takes a while. But when you get to the point that that's what you want, I mean, you get joy out of it. Yeah. It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
I think that's probably natural for everybody. I mean, I look at Bailey and Camden, and they're still in that now everything's going to be perfect. And Lord willing, it is. And it's great. But I don't know if you fully understand sacrificial love.
Yes.
When you first get married. Like, I don't know if you can, because you've never had somebody else in your life that you've had to think about. You've been selfish, not intentionally, but you just have only had to worry about you. And your parents have worried about you. Then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I have another person.
It also depends on how old you are.
Yeah.
For sure. Like our son Cameron's not married. And, he's going to get hit with a concrete block, right? Because he's got his routine and I think the older you are, also the less malleable you are.
Creative
energy. And so I do think that there's something to be said for some of the experiences that you've had and being open to that kind of thing, because you'll get kicked with sacrificial love really quickly. So,
well, and I think it was the next level up with kids too.
Yeah.
You figure out sacrificial love amongst a marriage all of a sudden, the first fight or the first disagreement or where we're going to move or what job we're going to take. And you're like, wait, it's not about me.
Yeah.
And then kids come in and you learn it. It's really never about me. Then all of a sudden they leave and you're like, oh, here I am again.
Exactly. So let's talk about how has marriage shaped your faith and relationship walk, even though we skipped that, your relationship with God, because you brought up faith and how it probably just forms everything that we could say about it. But do you have a specific example
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think your level of intimacy rises. And I wasn't prone to that. It was just the opposite. And when you finally get the joke that you're a child of God, all right? Which for me, it was a process, as Kristen well knows, to really believe that I am a child of God. I was able, to be more open with Kristen and basically have the trust and conviction that she wasn't going to judge, for what I did, right? And I think that takes it to the next level. So I would say that that's just an example. I mean, right? Yeah, but that's just an example of very actual.
And I think your faith then makes you understand that yes, there's sacrificial love, but there's also forgiveness and reconciliation that happens every day. And you learn how to do that, and you learn faster how to do that. And you learn like, oh, like you're actually going to stick with me no matter what, right? Like that is a part of the faith walk that
for sure.
I think it's an addict.
Yeah, you stuck with me.
Exactly.
I don't know when we started doing our annuals. I don't know how far into our marriage we started doing that, but the Lord laid it on our hearts to, I'm just thinking of something that's continually been an impact. And yes, you've shared it on the podcast before, but the Lord led us to set annual goals together, the things we agree, like around Christmas and between Christmas and New Year. What do we agree on for the next year? What does that look like? And to do her going back to grad school, starting a business. It could be lots of it. Right. We felt like we were committing him to the Lord, and then letting him show us from there what. And we would do that even before kids. And then so I think that has had when I look back at all of the things that we have committed to the Lord, or how many things have come to pass, but it drew us together too, because it made us two being one. It made us. What do we agree on this year? Because I might have my list and and we still do that with the kids now too. But it was really helpful to what do we agree on, and if kind of that concept that's in the scriptures about one causes 10,000 to take flight, or one causes 1,000 to take flight, but two causes 10,000 to take flight. It's not that two costs 2,000; it's like exponential, right? So
because you're a team,
to end your Lord's in it, Right. So that it's helped us to see. Let's try to move forward even throughout the rest of the year. Right. Let's move forward on what we agree on, and we're going to do. It's going to go a lot better in general. So, and even like now with the campaign, it's fun. Like we're getting to work together, like the campaign stuff like that, and it's exciting. Whenever we have projects that we're like together on, it's extra special. And the Lord, I think, brings us even closer in terms of intimacy.
It's been very fun to watch you jump in and be.
It's been fun.
No, seriously, like it's been an honor to watch you guys do that together. It's because it's not your thing. It is not necessarily, and not that it was her thing necessarily either, but just it's a project that you guys got to do together, and it's really been fun to watch how much more relaxed she is now that you are in step. So, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. I think just from. Not that it's about us today. No, anyways, let's do.
That's all now. It is your show.
But it is our show. You're right. I think through a good marriage, a good godly marriage, it helps you understand how Jesus sees you better. Mm-hmm. And I think without having a good marriage, you can't fully understand, but I think it's harder to fully understand what it means when, the bride and the groom of Christ. Because there are days when, we talk about this all the time, that it's hard to be married some days. You have good days, you have bad days. You have good months and bad months, good years and bad years. You have good cycles and bad cycles. And sometimes it's really easy to love your spouse. And sometimes you're like, well, both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think knowing that in a godly marriage, you're in it no matter if it's a good day or a bad day. You're in it.
Right.
Helps me really understand that when I'm not maybe as in line with the Lord as I should be, He's not leaving me. He's not going to be like, well, that is one too many times you did it. And I have told you this a million times and you keep messing up. Yeah. And so I'm out. And so I think having that kind of a marriage really helps me understand the relationship of the bride of Christ better.
Well, and I think it's also that the Lord is a safe place because your husband's a safe place, and your husband's not going to there's a whole bunch from a female perspective, even though we're Misfits, we do have some female traits, which we have a few female traits. And one of them is feeling secure and knowing that this is going to be okay. And I have a support system. And I think the Lord shows us that through having a spouse that stands by us, even when we have wackadoodle ideas we should have a podcast.
We should do a podcast.
Right. Rodney's okay, so that podcast, right. You got another thing in there, you got the Bible study, and then you're doing that, and am I in that equation anywhere? And I'm like, I know, but I take the dog for a walk and then we'll talk. Do the dishes and then we'll. So,
That was such a good summer.
But I know you'll never leave me. Like the Lord's never leave me. So,
Which makes
not that
me
I
realize,
realize, but I should say thank you.
yeah, if somebody doesn't have a great marriage,
Yeah.
that's hard.
Watch.
Like that's
And it's very hard to watch.
because
Actually.
it does make an impact on your relationship with Jesus when you have a great relationship in a marriage. When you have a good marriage, even though you have bad days, when you have a good marriage, it helps your relationship with Jesus. If you don't have a good marriage, as I'm saying, and I'm thinking, no, like, I'm sorry.
Well,
That means you have a Jesus love.
Right.
It does.
Right.
If
It's harder.
you don't have
yeah.
a good marriage,
Right.
Yeah,
You gotta-
I mean, it means that there's some work to be done on both sides. But I was just listening actually to the Deepen podcast, and they were talking about, like a couple that one of them was unfaithful, and the other one basically, the one who's been sinned against is the one that says, "Okay, we're going to stay," but then they hold that over the other person, like, "Okay, well," and bring it up and bring it up and bring it up. And I think, like, I thought, like we don't think about that. But like when we fight, we don't really think, we almost know, like we almost don't even recognize that we forgave because we're not bringing it up again, right? Which I think when you're not in a good marriage, that's you just can't do that, right? And so I mean, yeah. Anyway, so okay,
Thankful for good marriages.
yes.